Hello, everyone. Live. I think we are live. No reason to keep anybody waiting any longer than necessary. And let's see if I can actually see the chat in my Restream platform. There it is. It's right there. I can see it. Now let's test if I can actually throw the comments up on the stream. Oh my God, I can. Jojo Granum, here you go. Boom. Okay, we are official. We are official. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. The timing on this just happened to work out perfectly. I did the 80,000 subscriber live stream 7 days ago, 1 week ago, Friday. And I was really hoping that we'd be able to do this one today. And it worked out perfectly. I need, let me double check. 57 more subscribers to officially hit 85,000. Chances are we're going to hit that by the end of this stream. So anyway, it couldn't have worked out better. And I scheduled it for 8:30 so that the West Coast guys would have a better chance of joining us. So let me just jump right into it with a question that I get all the time that I want to answer. Might as well get it started going hot. And that is, what happens when David Miscavige dies? And the answer is absolutely nothing. There's nothing special about David Miscavige. He's not this single charismatic leader keeping Scientology afloat. He was never supposed to be the guy who took over from L. Ron Hubbard. In fact, a single person was never supposed to really take over from L. Ron Hubbard. It was really supposed to be rule by committee, rule by multiple redundant committees. And, you know, realize Scientology hasn't even been prospering under David Miscavige. The money in the bank has been going up, but the numbers have been going down. And if you ask me, the real measure of a healthy cult is the membership, not the dollars. You can always, dollars sort of take care of themselves as long as you're growing your membership. And you can only squeeze so much blood out of a stone. And Miscavige has been, you know, squeezing as much blood as possible out of the stone, but his stone is getting smaller and smaller. And the fact is, Scientology, if it just, and it'll sound like I'm advocating for this, and I'm not really, but if Scientology just treated people a little less horribly, they really wouldn't lose hardly anyone. I mean, you already get a sense of how committed Scientologists are to the cause. You get a sense of how committed they are by hearing the stories of how much abuse and nonsense and interference in their lives they put up with from Scientology and their prepubescent teenage ethics officers that rule like tyrants over the membership. They're already so committed that if you just treated them a little less horribly, you probably wouldn't lose anyone. So I'm guessing that if Miscavige died, some executive that no one's ever heard of would probably step in to, well, they would step in to a degree, but again, I repeat, it doesn't require someone to step in order to keep the day-to-day operations of Scientology going. Local organizations pretty much run themselves. All the multiple redundant levels of administration in Scientology really just get in the way. No one at your local Scientology organization is waiting for orders from continental management, middle management, or international management in order to do their jobs. And yet they do their jobs anyway. And they don't do their jobs because of David Miscavige. So anyway, I could answer this a bunch of different times, a bunch of different ways. But honestly, the only possible outcome of David Miscavige dying and someone else taking over is, I don't think things could get any worse. There is a chance things would actually get better, to be honest, because David Miscavige is kind of a psychopath. And he has sort of the psychopathy that you see at different levels of management are kind of a reflection of what they are emulating from the top. And I do believe it is possible that if someone else took over or multiple someone else's took over, things might actually improve. And so that's my answer to that question that nobody in particular asked. Okay, so let me see, guys. I'm going to try to figure out how to sort through all the questions. But guys, I'm going to plan on doing this for roughly an hour. So we've got a lot of time, and I'll take my time and I'll try to get through as many questions as possible as well. So give me something here. Let me see. It's true. Okay, so here's one. I'll throw this up here. Okay, but Aaron, being nicer is not in a policy. This brings up a very important issue that I think is worth taking up. You will hear it said many times and by many people that it is not possible for anything in Scientology to change because L. Ron Hubbard policy is unalterable and is must be complied to at all times. And there's truth to that statement, except we can all point to 1,000 different examples of how Miscavige has changed policy. And this doesn't even imply whether policy is good or bad. I don't give a shit one way or the other. But Miscavige changes policy by simply claiming it was a change Miscavige that Hubbard had wanted in the first place. And there is something, this gets into the weeds a little bit, but perhaps that's one of the purposes that I serve here. There is a policy in Scientology called the structure of organization. What is policy? That's the name of the policy. And in that policy, it talks about the need of an organization to periodically review its existent policies, its extant policies, and cull them for policies that are no longer applicable and were serving a purpose at the time, but no longer serve a purpose and need to be canceled, right? So Hubbard was baking something into his own policies that allowed for cancellation of previous policies. Well, Hubbard's dead, and technically he was the only one who had the authority to cancel his own policy. But if you think about it this way, if he said in his own policy that it was necessary to periodically cancel policy, then the fact that he's dead does not make what he said no longer applicable. And that would be Miscavige's justification or any other manager's justification to cancel a Hubbard policy and simply say that Hubbard allowed for such cancellation to occur. So technically speaking, no one's allowed to change Hubbard policy, except there's always ways around that, and there's loopholes, and Miscavige has been taking advantage of those loopholes since he took over almost 40 years ago. So let's see. Now I have to figure out how to remove that comment. Good, which I just did. Okay, I'm now looking for the next question. Okay, fine. I just see one here. Aaron, I'm super curious. What the hell are Scientologists talking about for 8 hours during the Purif? Like stuff like, I can feel the niacin working. Okay, so the purification rundown, everybody, is Scientology's like detoxification program. It just requires sitting in a sauna for a bunch of hours a day, taking way too many vitamins, taking way too much niacin, drinking oil, eating lecithin, which is really essentially wax. And Scientologists believe that this rids your body of toxins and gives you more mental clarity. You don't sit in the sauna for 8 hours a day. I really don't think you can be in the sauna for more than 5 hours a day, and it doesn't have to be continuous. You can leave the sauna whenever you want. You can take a cold shower whenever you want. But yeah, what do they talk about? I don't know. Yeah, there's no really good answer to this question. It's hard to shoot the shit with anyone for 5 hours. If you're lucky, there's maybe 5 or 6 people in the sauna at a time. But in most organizations, you might literally be the only person in the sauna. At most Scientology organizations, you might literally be the only person in the sauna, in which case you got an audio book. Maybe you're listening to Mike Rinder's audio book, A Billion Years. You're probably listening to an LRH lecture. Boom, there's the best answer to your question. If nobody has any awesome things to discuss, they would literally put on an LRH lecture and listen to that. Talk about a shitty way to spend time in the sauna. Okay, so I see a super chat over here on YouTube, and I want to throw it up on the screen, but I've got to find it here over on Restream. So let me figure out how to do this, guys. Give me just a second. Okay. Nicholas Valentino, is Will Smith a Scientologist? Will Smith was a Scientologist. He definitely is not any longer. Will Smith and Jada were both Scientologists. The two most famous Scientologists who deny ever having been Scientologists. If you guys have not seen the episode of Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk, where she brought Leah Remini on to basically deny ever being a Scientologist, please watch it. In fact, even better than that, watch the reaction video that I did on my channel to Jada Pinkett's ridiculous episode. Leah did her best going on that program and was being extremely polite and tolerant with Jada, as Jada denied ever really being a Scientologist. But also what's really funny when you go back and you watch that episode is you have Will Smith in the beginning of the episode, before Leah shows up, reflecting on how Leah had really hurt them by accusing them of being Scientologists. And he explains her behavior by saying, you know what? Scientology really hurt Leah, and hurt people hurt people. That's what Will Smith said. And it's like, well, who hurt you, Will? I think we all know. Her name rhymes with Shmeda Smith. So that's the answer to that question. Will and Jada are definitely not Scientologists any longer, though. I will at least say that. Okie dokie. Next question, guys. Okay. Still trying to figure all this out. Okay, here's one. If I can get it to show up. That is not the one I meant to click on, but that's okay. Have you ever interviewed Tom DeVocht for your channel? Would love to hear some of his stories. Thank you, Megan, for that question. It is so funny that you mentioned that, because just last week I was thinking, God damn, I would like to interview Tom DeVocht. He's like one of the most low-key, under-the-radar, most senior Scientology executives that people seem, well, it doesn't get any attention because he hasn't written a book and he doesn't have a blog. And Tom DeVocht, man, you want to talk about someone who's got some stories to tell. Tom DeVocht has been there from the very beginning with David Miscavige and Mike Rinder and L. Ron Hubbard and Debbie Cook and all these guys. And he lives a very quiet, simple life up in the Pacific Northwest. And I was just thinking, man, I got to get Tom DeVocht on my channel, and how much fun would that be? Because Tom DeVocht is a really cool guy. So I haven't interviewed him on my channel, but only for no particular reason. I've just never asked him, and it probably would never even occur to him to ask, because he doesn't seem to particularly care whether he's speaking out or not. He's just living his life. So I will ask him, and I'm looking forward to that. Okay, I see a super chat from Jojo. And Jojo, I'm going to go back up and find you in this stream here so I can throw it up on screen. So give me a sec. Boom, there it is. Okay, Jojo Granum. Do you think that Tom Cruse will ever take over if David Miscavige dies? So the simple answer is no, and I'll explain why. So Tom Cruse is not a Sea Org member. And there is something called an honorary Sea Org member that applies to celebrities, where if they want to join the Sea Org, someone in Scientology is supposed to tell them that their time or their efforts are more valuable as a celebrity, and they won't be a Sea Org member, but they'll be an honorary Sea Org member. But being an honorary Sea Org member, it's still honorary. It's still not real. You cannot be a member of Scientology management unless you're a Sea Org member. And the truth is, Tom's value to Scientology is in bringing awareness. He doesn't have any value as a manager. There's no reason for him to take over running Scientology. Not that Miscavige has any real skill as a manager anyway, so I guess that doesn't really mean anything. But the answer is no. When you hear people talking about Tom being second in command, or that's it's sort of a misrepresentation, a mischaracterization of what Tom has said. You know, Tom has said something like, there's LRH, and then there's David Miscavige, and then there's me. He's really talking about as far as the how he considers the responsibility to rest on his shoulders for accomplishing the aims of Scientology. He's not talking about literally like the command channels of Scientology, if you know what I'm saying there. So, okay, I see another super chat here, but no question. Patty's home. Thank you for the super chat. But there's no question there, so I can't answer a question for you. So sorry about that. Ooh, what's this one? Jake Lloyd. Okay, Jake, I see your chat over on YouTube. Let me find it on Restream so I can throw it up on the screen for everyone. There you are. Boom. What's up with Scientology's recent softening of some of its more hardcore, outwardly cruel policies like freeloader bills, lawsuits, stalking, etc.? Thank you, Jake, for that question. That's a good one. So the answer to this question is simply that they're trying to stop the bleeding. They're trying to stop the bad press. They're trying to stop the lawsuits. They're trying to stop people from leaving the Sea Org and running into the arms of big, bad, suppressive people like me and Mike Rinder and Leah Remini and Chris Shelton and Mark Headley, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Literally, that is the reason. They're trying to give people less reasons to go and connect up with the big, bad, suppressive people. They don't want Scientology in the Aftermath reboot season 4 on Hulu or whatever. They're just trying to stop the bleeding. So, you know, the freeloader bills, they still do give freeloader bills. They just drastically scale them down. I guess there's probably some cases where they've just sort of gotten rid of them altogether on a case-by-case basis. But, you know, the Aftermath Foundation regularly helps people who are escaping the Sea Org. So the people that we help don't end up with freeloader bills because they're not in Scientology anymore. But sometimes people will leave the Sea Org and then connect up with us. And some of the ones I'm thinking of recently had freeloader bills, just very, very small ones. The lawsuits. Look, Scientology hasn't sued anybody in over 20 years. Debbie Cook is the only exception, and that went very, very badly for her. So that's not a recent change. The stalking, they still do the stalking. They just try to do it in a way where they're not going to wind up on Entertainment Tonight or something like that. All right, I see some. Thank you for that question very much. Let's see. That one's Gabriel. Oh God, I have to get these before I lose them. Okay, so the next one is Gabriel. I'm trying to find you on Restream, Gabriel. Give me a sec. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's Goldie. Okay, so I'm missing Gabriel. Goldie, I'm going to keep yours up, but I'm going to do Gabriel's real quick because I don't want to miss it. This is from Gabriel Bradley. What is the sex and relationship hookup culture like among young Scientologists? Probably the same as your average standard high school, but they get in trouble for it. That's the good answer to that question. Okay, Goldie, no question at this particular moment. Oh, I should have read it. I should have looked at it. Thank you, Goldie. Much appreciated. All right, let's see. There's got to be a more efficient way for me to do this. Okay. More Bobo. Why does David Miscavige have no kids? The answer is you're not allowed to have children in the Sea organization. That really is the only answer. If you get pregnant in the Sea organization, you need to either leave the Sea Org. You're supposed to continue to be a Scientologist, but you either leave the Sea Org or you schedule an appointment at the clinic. And Miscavige, I've also heard that Miscavige is afraid of catching body thetans from little kids. He's afraid that their body thetans will jump onto him. He doesn't like kids, but that's not the reason he doesn't have kids. He couldn't have kids and remain in control of Scientology. More Bobo. Oh, there you are, Gabriel. I see you there now. Okay, I think I've figured out how to handle the chat a little bit better here. Okay. Patty's home is the next question here. Is there ever any light and or love in the Church of Scientology? Scientology just doesn't really use those words. They would say uptone. Enthusiasm, exhilaration, strong interest. Love is not, it's just not a word that really plays much of a role in Scientology. But a Scientologist would never, if I were to answer this question like the way a Scientologist would, they would object to the characterization that there's no like love or liking in Scientology. They would just call it affinity. Lots of affinity. I've never really done a video about the ARC triangle in Scientology. It's one of the basic concepts that sort of answers this question. But I know that Chris Shelton has. If you guys look up ARC triangle on YouTube for Chris Shelton's channel, you'll find a great video where he answers this question in more depth than I'm prepared to right now, at least. Okay, from Gur Roar, let's see what we have here. Could you please interview Tory Christman? Absolutely. Tory is a friend. And God, have I never interviewed her? I guess she and I did interview Tory Christman. I'm almost positive that I have on my channel. Unless it was just a really extensive conversation on Facebook. But I really am quite sure that I spoke with Tory, and I would love to again. And it's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. All right, let's find the next one. Okay, this is From Snow167. Thank you for the question, Snow. Do you think after the Danny Masterson trial, will Church of Scientology reduce the snitching policy to keep from having evidence for future trials? 100% no. The snitching culture is honestly one of the primary ways that Scientology controls its members. There's a policy in Scientology. If something occurs and you were aware of it and you did not write a report on it, you will suffer the same penalties as the person who actually committed the act once it is at a later time found out about. So maybe they will have a policy of like digitizing everything and not giving people copies of reports. That's a possibility. But as far as getting rid of the reports altogether, absolutely not. All right, let's find the next. Okay, we have Dan Cave. Okay, let's see what you got. Thank you, Dan. Can you ever see a time when the cult will be busted wide open for real? For example, federal government raids. I don't think there will be a raid, but I also don't think there will have to be. One of the things the Aftermath Foundation has been able to help with is to direct people who've escaped from Scientology to the correct federal agencies in order to share what they know. So obviously we help people escape. We help them restart their lives, we help them get set up with places to live, transportation, and jobs. And if they have knowledge and evidence of crimes, we steer them in the right direction and send them on their way, but make sure they're talking to the right people. And I truly do have a reasonably high level of confidence that we're going to see Scientology prosecuted for felonies, more relating to the financial side of things. That's my personal opinion. And let's find the next one. Jake Lloyd, again, I believe. Do Sea Orgs know about Snow White and Mrs. Hubbard? Some of them do. It's not, strictly speaking, forbidden to know about those things. Everybody knows about Mary Sue Hubbard. I'm not sure everybody knows Mary Sue Hubbard went to prison. In fact, in one of the major organizations that I worked at in Los Angeles, in the library of the organization was a book all about Snow White. That's where I first read about it. In fact, it was a book written by an author named Omar Garrison. When you guys get a chance, Google Omar Garrison Scientology and look up the books that he's written. And one of them was all about Snow White. And for some reason, it was in the damn library at the Advanced Organization in Los Angeles. Is that, who is this? Who is this? The Rafa Dafa Do. Well, thank you, Rafa Dafa Do. Throw in a question next time, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Okay, Oliver Parker. Here we go. Do you think Scientology would be different if Miscavige hadn't taken control? Also, rewatched your Aftermath episode recently and was moved to tears. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think Scientology would be different if Miscavige hadn't taken control. I do think it would be different. There's a reasonable debate to be had whether it would be any better or worse. I mean, fundamentally, the policies L. Ron Hubbard laid down is the fundamental reason why Scientology is as it is. I do happen to believe that Miscavige has figured out how to make it like the worst version of itself that it could possibly be. And I think if someone else like Guillaume Leserve or Mark Yeager or Annie Broker had actually been the one to take over, that we would have a kinder, gentler version of Scientology. That's just my opinion. And yeah, that's why I said when someone else finally takes over, it's possible that things get better or improve. It's hard to imagine things actually getting worse. You know what I mean? Okay, JRR. Scientology was raking in big bucks, especially in the early 2000s. With the shrinking of the organization, is their war chest getting smaller? Thank you for the question, JRR. In fact, the war chest is getting bigger, and the reason for that is they don't actually spend any of the goddamn money. That's Scientology's big secret. They don't spend, I just realized, no, I'm connected. I'm hardwired to the internet. They don't spend hardly any of the money. And spending money on a building is not spending money. It's just transferring, transferring assets from the cash line item to the real estate line item. So their war chest continues to get bigger and bigger because they're not paying they're not paying income tax, they're not paying property tax. And so they really have almost no operating expenses. They pay their staff essentially zero. So their real operating expenses is food, electricity, and water. And they probably make enough money on their interest in the bank to cover that expense. That's why losing tax exemption will be a real game changer for Scientology, because all of a sudden their expenses will be higher than their income, at least the way that I calculate it. Thank you for that question. All right. Next one. Another one from More Bobo. Dang, thought I had a shot with David. Yeah, nah, David's kind of a, Mike Renner's actually explained, he's sort of followed in LRH's footsteps, even in the sense that he's become like this asexual person. People seem to think that because he sent Shelly Miscavige off to work at one of the confidential CST bases, that he's probably boinking his assistant. But Mike Render's opinion is, no, Miscavige is just not really a sexual person. Shelly, you know, Hubbard sent, when Hubbard last saw Mary Sue, he still had like, I don't know, 6, 10, many years of his life left. And it's not like Hubbard was off sleeping around. Anyway, Miscavige has kind of emulated Hubbard in that way. Okay, let's see. Next one. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Sue's Q, DFW. I've learned a lot from this channel. Thanks. It is my pleasure. Thank you very much. And if you hit me up with a question next time, I will be more than happy to answer it. All right. Oh, I just missed one. Let's go get it. Okay, Denise Hall. Let's get this one. Denise Hall Sparrock. Are there going to be any efforts to bring IRS to task for acknowledging Scientology as a religion, or did the IRS not commit any criminal act? No, I don't. The IRS didn't commit a criminal act, but the fact that it can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the IRS was coerced into initiating the review process, combined with the fact that the IRS made its determination in contravention of a Supreme Court decision that has never been revisited, is the reason why I believe once Scientology is convicted of certain felonies, there will be a justifiable reason for the IRS to review the exemption. And I believe the factors I just mentioned is going to definitely work against Scientology in that review process. But I don't think anybody could make an argument that the IRS actually committed some sort of a crime in coming to that determination. That is my opinion, at least. All right, we have one here from Hopper. How many people has the Aftermath Foundation helped get out? Can you tell us about one? So I answer this question by saying every single week we are helping someone leave Scientology. And I answer the question that way because not everyone leaving Scientology needs financial help. But the stories that you're going to hear of people telling, or the stories that you're going to hear people tell who have been helped, are the ones that we've given financial help to. But we help so many more people than the ones who we end up giving financial help to. When I say financial help, we'll help someone get an apartment, get a car, buy clothes. You know, people don't have clothes. Sometimes they just leave with the clothes that's on the back. We'll help people get airfare, travel to get home. Some people are thousands of miles from home. We've helped some people go halfway around the world to get back to where they need to be. There are already some testimonials. If you go to the aftermathfoundation.org, there are some testimonials there of some of the people that we've helped. The biggest stories you haven't heard yet. And I love the fact that I can say that, because we really have been able to accomplish everything and more of what we thought would be possible when we started this thing. And when you guys hear some of the stuff, you're not going to believe it. You're just not going to believe it. Go to the aftermathfoundation.org. And hey, while you're there, order a Mike Rinder bobblehead. Oh no, I'm sorry. You have to order the bobbleheads, you have to go to the spshop.com. We don't sell them through the foundation website. Those are sold through the SP Shop website. All right, let's see. I hope I'm not falling behind here. Jordan W. Let me get this up here. Jordan. Okay, I thought you had a video about the Tenney family, JoogSquad TFUE from Clearwater, regarding the CFS and them. If I'm not crazy, can you elaborate on this? I did have some video that I uploaded about them. You know, Jack and Turner, Jack and Turner. So Jack is the JoogSquad guy. Turner is TFUE. They've never been involved in Scientology, but their father was one of the original OG warriors fighting against Scientology when he was on the Clearwater City Commission. This was before it was even called the Clearwater City Council. And is his name Jack? No, I'm going to forget his name. What is his? Richard Tenney. Just look up Richard Tenney, Scientology Clearwater. This guy was leading protests against Scientology on the steps of City Hall. And now all we have is a bunch of fucking pussies on the city council who can't be bothered to do a goddamn thing about Scientology because they're so compromised. All their friends make money off Scientology, and they're a bunch of fucking pussies. And Frank Hibbert thinks he's the greatest thing to happen to Clearwater. I think he's one of the worst things to ever happen to Clearwater. So screw Frank Hibbert. Go Richard Tenney. All right, let's see. Next question. Greta. Hi, Greta. Would a new leader stay as close to Tom? My answer to that would be no. Miscavige doesn't have any actual good reason to be friends, and I mean like bros, like BFF hangout buddies with Tom, other than his own personal desire to be close to a world famous person like Tom Cruse. If a new person, and for some reason I just think of like Guillaume Lecerf, and I realize most people don't know who Guillaume Lecerf is, but he's a French guy. He used to run Scientology in Europe, and then he became executive director international. He's one of these guys no one's seen in 10 years. And I think of him as being sort of a kinder, gentler face of Scientology. So if Guillaume Lecerf were to become the new chairman of the board, he would keep Scientology happy, but he would see Tom as someone who could work for Scientology, not someone who he needed to become best friends with, not someone who he needed to be the best man at his wedding with, not someone who he needed to ride motorcycles with. You know what I mean? He would have more of a professional relationship, and it would be more appropriate, really. It's just weird. I mean, for the love of God, Miscavige went on Tom Cruise's honeymoon with him. It's like, get a fucking clue, dude. Leave him alone for a little bit. Leave him alone. Why are you going to go on a honeymoon? It's like just ridiculous. All right. Next question. Okay, John Stout. Thank you, John, for this question. There is a credible talk in the gay community that Tom Cruise swings our way. What do you know? What I know is that no one who has ever been involved in Tom's auditing or supervising his auditing or been involved in being an ethics officer for Tom, or no one has ever come out of Scientology and said anything has ever come up in Tom's past about gay stuff. And it really is incredible to me that, so there was 2 years I lived in Hollywood where I had nothing to do with Scientology. There were so many people I met during that time that swore from personal experience, but honestly, personal experience usually was they had a friend who had a personal experience. So what I was about to say is there's so many people that I met who had a personal experience of Tom Cruise, doing some LGBTQ stuff. But when you really got down to it, it was never personal experience. It was still hearsay, whisper down the lane, telephone game kind of stuff. And all I can say is from all the people who've left Scientology and would have every reason in the world to expose Tom's dirty laundry, they've all said that there's nothing there. And I believe them. So that's usually my answer to the question. All right, next one. Goldie again. All right, Goldie, let's have another one here. Are you familiar with Doug from Dazed and Confused YouTube channel? He seems like a really cool ex to interview. So I'm familiar with him in that I know he exists. I don't think I've ever spoken with him. And I think I've watched a couple of his videos. But I don't like know his story. And I can't remember if he wrote a book or not. I've read most of the books that have been written, but I know there's some that I haven't. If he wrote a book, I haven't read it. So I think that answers the question. And yeah, he would be really fun to interview. Now that I've got, you notice I've been playing with some new technology lately. Part of this is so that I can get back to actually doing interviews. If I'm going to do interviews, I need them to be high quality. I need the audio to be good. I need the video to be good. And so as you can see, I'm starting to get that all figured out. So I hope to do a lot more interviews moving forward. Thank you for that question. Melissa, okay, I'll put it up here even though you say no question. No question, just good to see you. Hope all is well. And where is Goliath? You know, Goliath got a haircut and they shaved him almost completely down to the skin. He doesn't even look like himself. I can't even bring him on camera to show you guys because I got to wait for Goliath to be all fluffy again before I can bring him back on camera. But he is doing great. And thank you, Melissa. And it's good to see you as well. Okay, Luke's quiz show. I see your super chat there, Luke, but no question. So thank you for the super chat. But throw me a question next time. You can think of something. All right, another one where it's no real question, but smash that like button, everyone. Thank you, Linda. That was worth bringing it up on screen. Yes, please do help me out, everyone. Smash that like button. I can't really see the likes. Oh, I can. 367 likes. And guys, let's see. Did I hit 85,000 yet? I still need 29 more, guys. There must be at least 29 of you who aren't subscribed yet. Do me a favor and just hit that subscribe button for me. How embarrassing would it be to finish my 85,000 chat and I'm not at 85,000? All right, let's find the next one. Another one, Lena. Lena, ask me a question next time. It's very generous of you. Throw a question up there. I'll be happy to answer it. Okay, here we go. Nicholas Valentino. Is it true the Headley lawsuit stopped an FBI raid? No, that's not true. But the way Mark Headley and Mike Rinder and some other people have told a story, I don't think the story was directly related to the Headley lawsuit per se. But, you know, in the process of all of these lawsuits, and not just lawsuits, in the process of some of the government investigations, you know, these high-profile former Scientologists like Mark Headley and Mike Rinder were consulted because the FBI was considering doing a raid, and they asked for either Mark or Mike or both their opinion on whether it would be a waste of time. Like because they weren't going to bust in there to seize documents, they were going to bust in there to like free people. And the question was, if we went in there, would anybody even leave? And the answer was, you know, probably not. And they explained why. Now, it's probably not even fair to say that the decision about the raid was made completely depending on that answer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's also probably not even fair to say that the government was ready to pull the trigger on an actual raid. Like, just because they asked for Mark's opinion or Mike's opinion doesn't mean the raid was ready to go and was just waiting on their answer. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows that the government was considering something. I'm guessing it never even got to the level where it was approved. Do you know what I mean? I'm guessing they never even requested permission to do it. That seems correct to me. All right, moving on. Okay, well, this is a comment, but it's funny. David can't boink anything. He is too tiny. That is so true. It is just so true, this poor little fella. I don't think David Miscavige gets enough sympathy. He's such a sad little man. Such a sad little man. One of the reasons I troll Miscavige so heavily, particularly about his height, I'm not teasing short people. I'm teasing David Miscavige for being short. There's a difference. I have nothing against short people. And I just love trolling Dave. And plus, OSA, the Office of Special Affairs, has to watch every second of every video that I produce. That's true for any former Scientologist, former Sea Org member who's putting content out. OSA has to watch it. And it's one of the reasons I just troll David Miscavige at every opportunity that I can. I might as well give OSA something funny to watch if they have to watch my stuff. Okay, next one. Can you say boinking again? Oh, blinking again. See, Goldie, I thought I knew what you were going to say. Can you say blinking again? Do you mean Blinky McBlinkface? Monique Yingling, the Blinkster? Captain McBlinky? Is that what you're talking about? I think that's what you're talking about. All right, moving on. Jake Lloyd again. Here we go. How pervasive are Scientology's business consultancy fronts? My friend worked at a vet clinic that trained with the tone scale. Yep. So when you say how pervasive, I don't know how to answer that question in the sense that I don't know how many business consultancy companies exist in general. So I don't know like what the saturation rate would be for Scientology consulting companies versus non-Scientology consulting companies. It seems like if you're a dentist, if you're a chiropractor, if you're a physical therapist, if you're a vet, if you're a financial planner, chances are you're getting promotion from a Scientology business consultancy firm. And just look up, if you ever have any question about this, first of all, you can always message me on any of the social media platforms. And if I see your message, I will answer whether a company is connected to Scientology or not. But you can also just search, like go to the founder page, you know, like on the website, who founded the company, and go online, put in that person's name and type Scientology service completions. And if that person's a Scientologist, you'll almost certainly find their name on the list of Scientology service completions. It's almost impossible to hide a history in Scientology. And short of that, just shoot me a message on Facebook and I'll try to answer the question. But, you know, survival strategies, measurable solutions, Singer, MGE, those are the, I always, every time I try to mention them, I can always remember the same 4 or 5, but there's like 5 or 6 more that I should be able to remember that I just always go blank on. So, yeah. All right. Next one. Naja. Let's see this one. Naja. I'm so curious about the NDAs being signed under duress. Do you believe this will be proven? Well, I think in essence, it already has been proven. In the Debbie Cook situation, it was sort of proven. I guess legally somebody could challenge whether it was really proven because the whole legal action never went to completion. Scientology basically just folded, even in the preliminary hearings, and just threw a ton of money at Debbie Cook. So, but to me, that's my definition of proven. Because if the NDAs and the contracts Debbie Cook had signed when she left were enforceable, Scientology wouldn't have given her any extra money. I mean, do you see what I mean? Scientology threw money at her to make her go away. 1, so that she would go away, and 2, so that the legal action wouldn't actually reach a point where it was decided on by a judge. Because as long as they can keep things from reaching its final conclusion, then they can prevent there from being some legal precedent set, right? They'd rather throw money at the problem and make it go away than have a legal precedent. But in my mind, the way I think about it, it's already been proven that the NDAs were signed under duress. And I do believe that in the current lawsuit, the Baxter, and Paris suit against Scientology, I do believe it will actually be proven in this case. And by the way, there's going to be a hearing here in Tampa at a Tampa courthouse. I think it's November 17th, a hearing in that lawsuit. I'm going to be there in person. I cannot wait to see Scientology's attorneys. So there's the answer to that question. Okay. Can you say boinking again? Well, I just did, Goldie, so there you go. Okay, what do we have here? Quo vadis. Have any Danny Masterson accusers gone to the FBI about intimidation, obstruction as 2 counts equals RICO? Tax exempt status can be retroactively canceled. So I guess I don't actually know if they've gone to the FBI about that. But here's what I can tell you. The Masterson victims in the civil case are being represented by some of the most badass, scary, professional attorneys in the country. So if going to the FBI about this is something that a very smart lawyer would suggest and recommend, then it's probably been done. And if it hasn't been done, then there's a really good reason why. And that's the best answer I can give, really. Thank you for the question. Much appreciated. Okay, I see another one here from, it looks like Wayne. Wayne Rossi, or Rossi, but I think it's Rossi. Do any of the people you help still think the LRH tech is for real, or have they usually given up by the time you hear from them? Thank you, Wayne, for the question. I would say it's a bit of a mixed bag. None of these people are like heartbroken about leaving Scientology. I guess we'll put it that way. But as far as, you know, levels, how much of the tech or which pieces of the tech Scientologists still believe in or whatever, that's going to differ from person to person. And there's another variable here to consider, which is that even if you think LRH is the worst thing ever, there is, to a degree, some ability to separate the bullshit in Scientology from things that someone actually found helpful. Do you know what I mean? So like I was just talking to somebody about this today, someone I was talking to on the phone. They have a friend who's a Scientologist and lives here in Clearwater. And this person was telling me a story. This person I was talking to is not a Scientologist. And they said, you know, I have a friend who's like, they were getting like a master's, some master's in the field of psychology or psychiatry, some psych related program. And she said, you know, just for the hell of it, this person I know agreed to get a Dianetics auditing session. And she said it actually helped her a lot. And I said, you know, I'm not surprised. Like, there's a reason why Dianetics and Scientology was able to grow in the 50s and 60s and 70s and early 80s. And it's because there's useful things in it that people found useful. And the more Scientology became like an authoritarian sort of theocracy, the more problems Scientology encountered. But back when Hubbard was pretending that Dianetics was a science and, you know, I don't know. But before he was pretending this thing was a religion, people were able to find things that they found helpful, regardless of what they thought about Hubbard or past lives or anything. So I'm mentioning this because even if someone doesn't give a shit about Scientology, you might still find that there's parts of it that they still quote unquote believe in or think makes sense or something like this. It's just not a black and white thing is really what I'm trying to explain. But for sure, anyone the Aftermath Foundation is helping is someone who doesn't give a shit about whether they continue to be a member of the Church of Scientology. That's for sure. All right, let's get the next one. Okay, here's one. I don't see a question, but what's on your needles? Well, thank you. What's on your needles? Next time, throw me a question, and I will be happy to answer it for you. Okay, I see one here. Luke's quiz show. I read about the border. Wait. I read about the border. Paulette Cooper. Oh, I read about the border Paulette Cooper took in, who was a secret Scientology spy named Jeff Marino. Do you know anything about this guy? Is he still in the church? I don't know anything about Jeff Marino. I'd forgotten that that's how they got someone inserted into Paulette Cooper's life. Wow, that would be really interesting. Tony Ortega should go find Jeff Marino. Incredible. Maybe Jeff Augustine can find Jeff Marino and see what that dude's up to. Man, you want to talk about an interesting interview. And I believe, if I recall correctly, he wasn't just someone that Scientology managed to hire to do their dirty work. I think he was a true believing member. No, that's one person I definitely do not know anything about him, but I wish I did. Joanna Snow. With a super chat like that, Joanna, next time ask me a question. Think of anything, and I'll be happy to answer it. Thank you very much. It's very generous. Okay, here's another one here. Roar. One of the most one of the most frequent viewers of my live premieres is Roar. What is the most ridiculous thing you've heard of somebody being brought in for a sec check? You know, Scientology doesn't have a ton of resources to expend to sec check everyone for the smallest little reason. To sec check someone, you have to be a trained auditor, and there aren't a ton of trained auditors lying around in Scientology. So if you're being brought in for a sec check, it's usually for a pretty damn good reason. But what I would consider silly is, you know, someone wrote a report that you said something negative about the last event you attended, you know. Also, so look, a sec check is an official thing that happens in really an auditing session, but an ethics interview is really the more common thing that would happen, because just an ethics officer who's not a trained auditor can sit down and put you on the e-meter and do a metered ethics interview and essentially interrogate you. And that's just called a metered ethics interview. So sec check. And so when I say being, you know, interrogated about what you said about the event was too long, or COB talks too fast, or there wasn't enough food at the last event. or the executive director is looking a little tired these days. I mean, even something as small as that, a critical comment, being made about one of the executives at an organization. If someone hears you say that and they write a knowledge report or things that shouldn't be report on you, you're going to get called in by the ethics officer and you're going to get a metered ethics interview to find out if that's just the tip of the iceberg. Oh, because that's the point of the sec check or the metered ethics interview. It's not just to be punitive. It's to investigate and see, is this just the tip of the iceberg? Maybe this person's doing something really horrible, like reading the internet or watching South Park or listening to Leah Remini's podcast. That's what they're really trying to do, is dig deeper and investigate and see what is this person's crimes. Have they been sent in by the FBI? Is this person a plant? Did this person work in military intelligence? Do they have any relatives who work for the government? I mean, Scientology gets pretty paranoid. It's pretty funny. All right, Simone Ferran is how I'm choosing to pronounce this name. Let me give it a Simone. I'm pretty confident about the Simone part. And I would say Ferran. That's how I choose to say this. Pair character lying on the side, raising his arm while saying, "How's it going?" That really painted a vivid picture for me, and I appreciate it. All right, next one here. What do we have? CJ Mation. CJ Mation. What is the Scientology apologetics regarding LRH's past as a sci-fi author? And then he writes Dianetics. So real quick, I'm checking the sub count. 85,041. You guys are amazing. We did it. We did it. We got him. So the answer to this question is that Scientologists don't think he wrote Dianetics because he's good at writing fiction and bullshit. They think he was good at writing fiction because whatever it is about Hubbard that allowed him to make the discoveries of Dianetics and Scientology in this lifetime, they believe that those things also allowed him to fully recall all of his past lives, not just on planet Earth, but in other solar systems and galaxies. And that when he was writing his fiction, he wasn't writing fiction. He was writing from his memories of his past lives. And realized that if LRH is writing a Western story, that doesn't have to be past lives in the Wild West on this planet. That could have been another planet in another galaxy a trillion years ago. Hubbard's concept of life and existence and the time continuum is such that you have done everything and been everything because you've lived so many lifetimes that there's other planets out there that exactly mimic this one. I'm struggling to be totally articulate about this, but I guess all I'm saying is that even whether Hubbard was writing a story that seemed like it took place on this planet or another planet, Scientologists still believe he was writing from his memories. I am not kidding. That is literally what they believe. Thank you for that question. All right. Let me find the next. Quo vadis. I feel like I want to figure out the right way to pronounce this. Quo vadis. Is this Latin? Quo vadis? Quo vadis. Okay, I like Quo vadis. I'm going with that. Do the other Keebler Elves know Miscavige is moonlighting as head of Scientology? I love this. Yes, and no, in fact, David Miscavige was declared and expelled from the Keebler Elven community, and he is working on his A to E steps to get back into good standing with the cult of Keebler Elves. And in order to do that, he has to finish running Scientology into the ground. He has to finish completely destroying Scientology. Then he will have made up all of the amends required in order to get back into good standing with the kingdom of the Keebler Elves. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's a good one. Okay, let me see. How do I get that one off? Okay, good. Melissa's back. Melissa Key, thank you so much. Let's see what you got here. OG follower before 5,000, just saying, we're coming to Clearwater soon and need places to go downtown that are not Scientology related. Melissa, I hate to tell you, I'm having more and more problems being able to refer anybody to places downtown. My favorite place, the 530 Pub and Grill, was sold to a Scientology ally whose mom was in Scientology. This is the guy who went to the city council meeting last week and reprimanded Mark Bunker for being bigoted against Scientology. So now I can't tell people to go to the 530 Pub. And honestly, I don't even know where I would tell someone to go downtown right now. But Melissa, shoot me a message on social media. Let me know when you guys are going to be in town. I'm happy to meet up with you guys, and I'll figure out a good place that I can refer you to, because I got to be able to have some place to refer people to. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for the question. Joanna Snow again. I see you there. Okay. What's on your needles? Can ex-Sea Org members file a lawsuit for back wages? No, because the money that Sea Org members are paid is not considered salary. It's just considered an allowance. And that's why it's only $50 a week. That's why there's no minimum wage laws. That's why you can cut the Sea Org pay and it's not illegal, because they're not legally entitled to any pay whatsoever. Pretty wild, right? Okay, I see Krista Beck. Okay, so I can put up a question without having to remove a question. Okay, good. Krista Beck, hello, and thank you for the question. Are there going to be more episodes of Leah Remini's Aftermath show? If not, why not? It felt like there was so much more to learn. So the answer is no. And this has to do with the way the entertainment industry is done with production companies and networks. So let's take the first Scientology in the Aftermath show. Well, the only one. So like a production company owns that show. So the production company makes the widget, and they essentially pay for the entire show to get created. So whatever Mike and Leah earned, for example, to host the show, they're paid that not by the network, but by the production company. Okay, once the production company makes the show, they then sell the show to A&E. So A&E pays the production company. They basically essentially license the show from the production company. And that's why then when Netflix wanted the show, the Netflix licensed the ability to air the show from the production company itself. So the reason there won't be another Scientology in the Aftermath is because that production company is no longer making the show. So Leah could make another show. It just couldn't be called Scientology in the Aftermath. And really what was happening is there was a lot of dissatisfaction on what A&E prevented a lot of stuff from actually being aired. Which was a really disappointing thing for Mike and Leah, because Mike and Leah are sitting here going, we have nothing to be afraid of. Scientology can't sue us. They won't sue us. But the corporate attorneys are just a bunch of pussies. And they're like, oh, we don't want to take a chance. And so some of the best material that was shot for the show had to be thrown into the trash can. And there was a lot of dissatisfaction around that. I hope that someday there will be another show in some form. It just won't be Scientology in the Aftermath. Okay. So how about this, guys? Stop sending super chats. Since our time is up, I want to answer all the questions that are out there, but you don't have to keep asking questions, because otherwise I don't want it to be a never-ending process. All right, so let's see. Next one here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this is Rafa Dafa Doo. Aaron loved your videos of Nick Lister, but they've been removed. Please don't tell me he's back in. Were you pressured by the COS to remove? No, Nick asked me to take them down. Nick was embarrassed about the content being up there. He said it was going to help make it harder for him to find a job and everything like that. And, you know, I wasn't happy. I actually didn't take them down for a long time. But, you know, he really made a stink about it. And I'm not happy with that decision, but it was going to be ultimately the path of least resistance to take them down. He hasn't gone back. I'm sure you'll hear something from him again eventually, somewhere. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe I'll put up again sometime in the future. They're still there. I just have them hidden. I mean, I didn't like delete them. I just made them private. So we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe I'll make them public again. It depends on how things roll out. But that's what happened there. Okay. This video is proudly sponsored by Xenu and the Thetan Army, because we love each and every one of you. Well, we love you too, Xenu. You know, all beings are basically good. Even you, Xenu. All the shenanigans that you get up to. All right. So, I see one here. Devin Lara. Do you know Liz Gale? I sure do. I've done an interview with her on my channel. And did you ever meet her brother? I did not. I never met her brother. I would love to see you interview her. Well, Devin, you are in luck. Just search my channel for Elizabeth Gale. In fact, I'm almost positive I spoke to her even more than once. And you know, Liz has a TikTok channel now. She has some really awesome content on her TikTok. And I stumbled upon it when I also created a TikTok. So I'm a TikToker. I don't post much there. But for a while, I was trying to take my YouTube shorts and also post them there. And I should still do it. It's just kind of a pain in the butt and time consuming, and I forget. So, sorry, guys. You can find Liz on TikTok. You can find my interview with her. And, you know, I really should do another interview with her. Now that I'm getting my my interview, audio, video, text stuff sorted out here, I would absolutely love to do another interview with her. So we have that to look forward to. All right, guys. Let's see. Will your wife ever come on your channel to tell her story? I'm really guessing probably not. She doesn't like talking about a bunch of private stuff. That was true when we filmed the Aftermath show, and it is still true to this day. So I am guessing not. Next one here. Jimmy James, do you think it would be possible for the FBI to do a Donnie Brasco type of undercover investigation on the C of S? Not at a level that would be effective. Could they get somebody into a local level organization? Yeah, sure. Would they find anything there worthwhile? No. Could they get anybody up into continental management or middle management or international management? No, I really don't think that they could. But it's okay. They don't have to. Believe me. The government has enough to get these guys for felonies, and it's just a matter of time. Okay, here's a fun one. Here's a fun one. How do you explain the C of S, this Church of Scientology, in 30 seconds? Here's how I would do it. I would start by going, let's start with what Scientologists actually believe. We are all immortal spiritual beings who have lived essentially forever and will live forever. And we have been tricked and trapped into thinking that we are bodies and we only live one lifetime. And with enough Scientology auditing, you can regain the memory of all your previous lives and regain your ability to remember each one of your lives every lifetime after you live it, and regain all of your godlike powers. That would really be the elevator pitch. And I think if Scientologists were smart, they would make it that way. Instead, they say some other convoluted shit and, you know, pretend they don't really believe what they believe and tell you a bunch of other stupid shit. It would really be more fun if Scientologists would just be honest about what they actually believe, wouldn't it? All right, let's see what we have here. How am I going to say this? Fifi Noir? I like that. I'm going with that. Fifi Noir. Do you think those in OSA made to watch your videos might have a wake-up call themselves? You would think so, you guys. You would think so. There's something about the guys in OSA where they're already programmed to be completely susceptible to any of the stuff that they read or hear. And I don't know what the proper cause and effect relationship is there. I don't know if they managed to get into OSA because they were already impervious to being affected by that stuff, or if they became impervious from being in OSA. I don't know, because I was never in OSA. But it seems like the people in OSA do not leave from watching all of this content. The people who are there have been there forever. But I'll tell you what, OSA is having a lot of trouble finding new members. And the people who work in OSA are getting very old. And I think they would struggle to find a younger generation of staff to replace the current old-timers who would be as impervious to this sort of corruption, if you want to use that word, that you're describing here. I think it is going to be a problem for them moving forward. And let's see if there are any more. God, I'm terrified that there's like 100 more. And I just haven't found them yet. All right. Tom Jacko. Has Tom Cruse children ever been in, or are they in Scientology? So Tom's adopted kids, Connor and Isabella, are both active and committed Scientologists presently. And those are his only children other than Suri, who, assuming she is his child, which we can assume that, is obviously not a Scientologist. I'll tell you, the thing with Suri is probably one of the most condemnable things about Tom Cruise. And if any journalist had any balls whatsoever, they would totally nail him with a Surrey question. All right, what do we got here? Ken's channel. You figured out questions on screen. I know. Thank God, right? I don't know if you saw my comment on the fake views on David's video, but why haven't they deleted my comment about it being fake views? By the way, it's at 3.2 million views and 126 comments. Ken, I mean, I haven't been checking on the video, so I haven't seen any comments over there. But why haven't they deleted my comment? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Maybe Osa all had a day off or something. I don't know. But I bet if you jumped in there, start posting links to OT materials. Start posting the clear cognition. Start posting comments like, hey, Osa, the next time you're in your auditing session, just say, I just realized I've been mocking up my own reactive mind all along and I'm not doing it anymore. Bang, I'm clear. I just saved you $50,000. I think you'll find your comments get deleted pretty quickly at that point. All right, what else? I could be here all night, guys. Chris Curtin, good to see you, my friend. Hey, how's the new owner of the 530 pub doing? I'm sure the place is full of Scientologists right now. I'll never be there again. Exactly. You know, when Chris came to visit, I believe, yeah, we met up down at the 530 pub, and yeah, we'll never meet there again, but we'll find somewhere else. We'll find somewhere else. You know, you would think that the place would be full of Scientologists, but Chris, there just aren't enough Scientologists who have enough free time and disposable income to go hang out at the 530 pub. I mean, if you're a Scientologist, you don't want to be caught hanging out at a pub in downtown Clearwater. So like this guy's really, I'm going to make up an analogy. He's making his bed on the wrong side of the tracks. That's not really a thing. I just made that up. Trying to throw down to get on Scientology's good side, thinking it's going to help your business in downtown Clearwater. You have to be a real idiot to think that being friends with Scientology is going to help your business in downtown Clearwater. It's just not true. All right, let's see. Charlotte, you're next. Charlotte. Mike Rinder mentioned that Shelly was kept working in a well-hidden building. Does he know this for a fact, or is it a well-qualified guess? No, he knows it for a fact. It's not just Mike who said that. John Brousseau, who was David Miscavige's brother-in-law and an executive at International Management, he's one of the people who, when he left, said that at International Management, in the dispatches and mail items and packages have to be routed all over the place within the world of Scientology. Like if you work at an organization, well, here in Clearwater, Florida, and you want to send something to International Management, Scientology has its own internal routing systems. You can send something to anyone. You just can't pick up the phone and call anyone. So at International Management, in the room that exists to like route all of the communications to Shelly were being sent to the CST base. That is how John Brousseau knows that's where she was working. Now, can anyone say with certainty that that is literally where she is today? Well, nobody can say that with certainty because we haven't had any new people come out of the Sea Org in the last several years who have had any updated information about Shelly. So I think that answers your question. So that is that. But it's not just a guess that she was there. For all we know, she could be back at International Management, you know, working with Miscavige. Like, honestly, for all we know, that's where she could be. Now, someone could say, well, for all we know, she could be dead. And I understand. I understand the point. But they weren't just guessing about the CST base. All right. Lacey Moss, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Is there any info about why Jett Travolta unalived himself? So actually, yes. So Jett had suffered from seizures and he was severely autistic. And he did have, you know, Jett did have proper medical care. He had nannies. He had people with him. He had a seizure in the bathroom in the middle of the night and fell and hit his head on a tub. It really comes down to that. I know people want to read a lot more into that. I promise you, Jett Travolta did not suffer from neglect. He did not have medical care withheld from him. His nannies, I know I have friends who worked in security at Flag who said that they personally have firsthand knowledge of the fact that Jett Travolta's nannies had his seizure medicine on them at all times. So this was a known condition for Jett. You can't keep someone from having a seizure. The best you can do is try to be there to help when it happens. And it just happened at the worst possible time and the worst possible. It was just horrible, horrible luck. It was just really bad luck. And I feel really, really sorry for the Travoltas to have to go through and experience that. I can't even imagine. Okay, what do we have next? Grr, roar again. Who do you wish Scientology would take back? At this point, I wish they'd take Will Smith back. We don't want him. Other than that, I would have to say no comment. That's a real funny one. They took Marty back. They can have his ass. Okay, good. Guys, we did it. We made 85,000. We did over an hour of chats. Thank you, guys. This has been fun. Hey, guys, look, with a little bit of luck, I'll get another 5,000 subscribers this week, and we'll do a 90,000 subscriber live chat. Same time, same day, same channel. In fact, I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to make a positive postulate, okay? In the name of L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige, I'm going to plan on getting another 5,000 subscribers this week. And tonight I will throw up the appointment for next week. And you know what? We'll do it whether I make it or not. But that will be the target. Thank you, guys. This has been a blast. The questions have been fantastic. Once this is done and uploaded, I'll put in chapter breaks so people can find these questions easily after the fact. And let's do it again, guys. Thank you very much.